Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. I intentionally threw up all over my great-aunt's dining table. I'm a 17-year-old girl and I am allergic to shellfish. My reactions are not life-threatening, but I do throw up almost immediately. My great-aunt, Dad's aunt, is one of those geniuses who think food allergies are not real and people who claim to have the air. Just trying to get attention. I usually avoid her because she's a moron. But this weekend, my little brother and I had go to her place along with our parents. My dad dropped us off and then went off to pick up my mom from work. Many of our cousins, aunts, uncles were there too. Gar, great-aunt, had an entire table full of food laid out. Among them were fried mussels. My brother, cousins and I snacked on some other goodies as we chatted. I avoided the mussels. Of course. Gar approached me and asked me to try the mussels. I said no. She asked again. I said, no. I'm allergic. Gar got mad. She told me I was a spoiled little brat. And that my parents needed to smack me to set me straight. My brother is 14, but even he understands how allergies work. He tried to intervene and tell the crazy bitch why I couldn't eat them. She yelled at him too for being disrespectful. I decided to give her what she was asking for. I smiled sweetly and said, okay. I'll try some. Before having a few mouthfuls of the mussels, I stuffed my face with some other foods. A few minutes after the mussels went down my gullet, I began feeling funny. But I didn't say anything. I waited for the puke party to begin. And soon it did. I began to vomit, but instead of running to the bathroom I threw up right there on the dining table. And on all the food Gar had made. I also turned around and threw up on her nice expensive carpet. We know it's expensive because she keeps talking about how expensive her furniture is. Gar screamed the whole time. My brother yelled at her, calling her an idiot for making me eat the mussels. As the puke, scream fest was going on, my parents arrived. My mom knew immediately what had happened, and after giving me my medication, she and my dad tore Gar a new asshole. My brother told them how Gar had pressured me and I confirmed it. I even did some fake crying for extra effect. My eyes were already red, so it wasn't hard. We left immediately and now Gar has been banned from our home or from coming near my brother and I. My mom made it clear to her that if she did, hell would be raised. I actually got something out of this horrible allergy. Lol. Edit. Thank you so much for all your comments. Someone asked what GA's reaction to me throwing up and my parents chewing her out was. She looked like she didn't know what yo say. Now she trying to play the victim by claiming that my parents were overreacting. That dumb bitch. Eth pound. End of story. Next story. I indirectly bribe my son into hanging out with me. He's 12 and definitely hit the age where he just wants to hang out with his friends and dad is just an afterthought. I could ask him if he would want to go to Magic Mountain and he would only if his friends could come too. I have no real friends of my own. I don't have high social needs. But I enjoy spending time with my kid. The only time he'll spend with me is when he gets something. For example, I will make up some bullshit reason to go to Target because that entails 2 hours of talking and hanging out with him one-on-one. I learn more about him too, especially when I buy him clothes. Something in the store will catch his eye and it leads to us talking, laughing and bonding. Of course he gets something, but he's not playing me. He just sees it as something he likes to do with dad. Otherwise he'll say he's good when I ask him if he wants to hang out doing something different. End of story. Next story. My parents came home to me losing my virginity, drunk out of my mind, and puking. They never found out. This is a throwaway account. For obvious reasons. My parents weren't gonna be home. So I picked him up and brought him to my house. We had a limited time alone, as my parents were only supposed to be gone an hour or two. I was nervous and ended up getting super drunk. We messed around for a while. And then he stopped and asked me if I was okay. I didn't respond and he ended up carrying me to the bathroom as I puked my brains out. My boyfriend, the great guy he is, made sure to get me over the toilet and held my hair back. The original plan had been that I would drive him home. Apparently, I was insisting I would drive him home even in the state I was in. He was not gonna let me. So he frantically called all his friends. No one picked up. Before we knew it, my parents were pulling into the drive. My bedroom is right in the front of the house, with a huge window, so they saw him up in my room for sure. Following this, I puked some more out of anxiety and dread. The floor of my bedroom was pretty much covered in puke. My boyfriend carried me back to my bed, tucked me in, and hid the evidence quickly. I pretty much passed out at this point. But according to him, he basically went downstairs, lied, and told my parents I got sick after we went out to eat. And they believed him. My parents even offered to drive him home. One of his friends finally came, luckily, to save him. This all happened about 4 days ago. My mom likes him even more now because she thinks he was taking care of me sick. Anyways, it's nice to get that off my chest. End of story. Next story. I cringe when posts of articles about super smart people are more likely to be depressed get like 50k upvotes on Reddit. You just can picture a bunch of overweight, smelly neckbeard Redditors thinking, yeah, that's definitely me. I'm a genius but tragic figure. End of story. Next story. I know that I have an addictive personality. The other day my wife asked me what I would be doing if we weren't together. She said something about maybe she'd have a different career. But I said I might be dead. She was really shocked and asked what I meant. We met in college. And prior to that I was experimenting heavily with a variety of illicit substances. I eventually stopped everything but alcohol for her. But even now I sometimes have trouble controlling my drinking. I think that if I hadn't met her, there's a chance I would have succumbed to substance abuse in some way, even if it might have been college experimentation at the time I met her. It's all very ironic, because now I'm a doctor who practices in an area at the epicenter of the opioid epidemic. And when I deal with those patients, I try to remember that I was really only one positive influence away from their position at one point. Sometimes I think all of us are only one positive or negative influence away from a different life. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.